What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Our Brains Hurt. Thank you so much for hanging out. We have another show coming up in DC this month, July 24th. It's a Wednesday night at Atlas Brewworks. We present the Dolly Rots with Soraya and DC's very own curse words. This is the third year we're putting on a Dolly Rot show, third summer in a row in DC. It's one of our favorite shows to put on. They fucking rock it every time. It's always a great time, always a great crowd. So get your tickets at Atlas Brewworks. Again, that's July 24th at Atlas Brewworks in Washington, D.C. The Dolly Rots with Soraya and curse words. Now, let's get to the show.
Well, they needed a jingle for their stupid little show, so they called up the Jasons and we said, fuck no. Then they called us again and they gave us $20 and we wrote them a song that said, your podcast sucks. Then they gave us more money and they asked us really nice and we finally gave in and we said, alright, I'll write you a song, but it's gonna be a clone of a Screeching Weasel song that we heard a while ago. So we wrote them a jingle and it sounded really rad. It was the best little jingle that their podcast ever had, but the file got corrupted and the email didn't work. Now they're stuck without a jingle singing Our Brains Hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. Our brains hurt, our brains hurt, our brains hurt. In a very non-copyright infringing sort of way.
Well, today we're talking to Dave Raun, another piece to our RKL puzzle.
Oh, yeah. Essentially the last one, but only kind of the last one, because like it doesn't sound like they're officially like back.
Right.
And I don't think any of them have been like officially Tony is our new singer and we're moving forward with shit.
Right.
I expect that to happen. But until then, Tony's not really a permanent member of RKL. But I would imagine he is. But it's not official.
Whenever we ask any of them about the future, they're always very vague.
And I saw an interview with Tony, actually.
Oh, you did?
Where somebody asked him about that too. And he was like, I don't know. He was like, I would love it if they asked me to keep singing with them and to do a tour and all this other stuff. He was like, but until then, I just had fucking a blast doing what we just did.
Yeah. We're still going to get you on here, Tony. We're going to get you.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, Municipal Waste is a fucking rad band.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
And so was Iron Reagan, which is not a band anymore.
Yeah, totally.
To my knowledge, at least.
Yep. All right, well, Dave is in the room. I'm going to let him in.
Okay, cool.
How you guys doing?
Awesome. Thanks so much for doing this, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I was just putting a snare together and trying to get some shit done this morning.
Awesome. You're out in you're in California, right? But are you in Fresno?
No, I'm out in Salinas, like Monterey, Carmel.
Oh,
area.
cool. Okay. I lived in Monterey for 2 years.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was in the military. I was a linguist, so I was stationed at Monterey.
Oh yeah.
And my wife was a nurse and she worked in Salinas at the time, so I was always going back and forth. So that's cool. It gets hot as hell in Salinas, man.
Yeah, it does get warm. We're like we're kind of in between everything. Like we're close to like Laguna Seca Raceway.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of between Carmel, Salinas, Monterey, all that. It's kind of a perfect location.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so nice there too. It's such a beautiful place. The Central Coast.
Yeah. I mean, I was in Fresno for 17 years, so which is kind of crazy, but it's fucking hot as shit right there right now. It's like 112 or 15 or something. Oh, not even real.
But it's dry heat though, right? Dry heat. That's what
yeah, really dry. Just bursts into fucking flames. That's how.
To start it off, like let us know like where you grew up and how you got into punk rock initially.
Well, I grew up in San Mateo, California, 3 blocks from Little Joe. So we've literally Little Joe and I have been playing together. Our very first anything was together. We used to take his brother's Manny's little amp and his brother's guitar and roll it on a skateboard to my parents' house. And then we would just jam out as little kids, like 12, 13-year-olds, whatever the fuck we were, make our little jams. And so, we've been going, we were in kindergarten together. So,
oh, wow.
Crazy.
So yeah, Joe and I go. I mean, I don't know anyone in my life as long as I've known Joe. So
Wow, that's crazy.
we've always had like this. We've always had this real good chemistry together. So playing, we could just play anything, and we could just sort of figure out what each other's going to do. So it's pretty great.
I mean, that's the dream for like a rhythm section, so to speak, right?
It really, yeah. I mean, it really is, and you know, he's obviously fantastic, out of his mind, good. So, you know, it's easy. It's easy for me to. I just have to follow his little ass and or try to.
Yeah.
You know, but it's always fun, and he's a great guy. He's such a talented individual, you know, like music, art, skateboarding, whatever. He's really a fucking badass. This is just going to turn into an interview about how awesome little Joe is.
Yeah, well,
I grew up in San Mateo. By the way, I'd say little Joe grew up there too. He's awesome. Fucking awesome, man. Enough about me. Joe is awesome. I'd be fine with me. I'd totally back him. I mean, I would totally do it.
well, he's been on here before, so
Well, but yeah, I'm just giving you the other side of that. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm reaffirming.
Yeah, the observer's view.
Yeah, but yeah. So started playing music, and just sort of from rock right into like hardcore in the 80s. I used to go see a lot of shows, Ruthie's Inn, Stone, Omni, Farm, anywhere that would do shows. Used to go to San Francisco, get rides, and you know, RKL actually, but DRI, MDC, Verbal Abuse, fuck, the list goes on and on. Also metal though, I used to see like Death Angel, Exodus, Possessed, Forbidden, like
hell yeah.
so the mid 80s when thrash was really starting to happen. It was fucking rad, hardcore and thrash, you know. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Bad Brains and obviously Black Flag,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that kind of shit. So, but I like rock. I like a lot of shit. That's the crazy part.
So how did you get introduced into all that stuff? Like, did you have a sibling, or do you remember like the first time you went to a punk show?
Yeah, I mean, I used to jam out with some older guys, so they were, you know, into metal. Obviously, I already had like Kiss, you know, Led Zeppelin, and then AC/DC. Then some people through school started, you know, cluing me in on like hardcore music and metal, like Metallica, Slayer, and so. All that was sort of part of it. Was sort of like like metal and hardcore were sort of almost one and the same, because you could go see both kind of shows at the same venues, and a lot of the like Slayer guys, and they were already like, you know, they were like a DRI or COC. So you know, Corrosion was a big one. So just threw one into the other, you know, and then, you know, I mean, high energy, crazy fucking music. I love it to this very day. You know, when that build up, that tension, like a Bad Brains or you know, music sort of builds up to that explosion,
Hell yeah.
into the super fast stuff. I fucking love that shit, you know. That's why the RKL thing has been so fun, because that's exactly what happens is that I get to watch it from stage, you know. You start to build up, and then it just fucking crowd goes ape shit. I love it.
Man, I wish I could have seen that West Coast like 80s thrash scene. Being a DC kid, you know, I never really got out there during those years, and I was pretty young, but I wish I could have seen that. I love thrash.
I mean, yeah, but you know, being a DC kid ain't a bad thing either, because
No.
you were in another hotbed.
I definitely got to live through and see, meet some people in that era that started my love for all of it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's funny because the term hardcore, like obviously if you say hardcore, it's usually associated with like New York hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
But like to me, back then, hardcore was just hardcore music. Like hardcore music was all those bands, because they were all, and you knew them by like where they were from. Like, you know, the DC band, COC was like North Carolina, and DRI was Texas, and DC was obviously Minor Threat, you know, Bad Brains, then New York. You know, so Black Flag and the LA scene and the up north scene, and it was geographically, it was like towns, but it was just hardcore music, and you just learned from albums and cassettes and all that shit. So it was rad, it was a wild fucking time.
Yes, it was. It sucks though, because the DC scene is not what it used to be. Just to paint you a picture, we throw shows in DC. In this past Saturday night, one of the bands broke out a Minor Threat cover, and me and like one other person there were singing along with it, and the rest of everybody had no fucking clue what the band was playing.
Oh, that's sad.
It
But
is
none of the scenes are. I mean, we totally sound like that get off my lawn guy. Like
Yeah.
my day. I mean, it's just the way it is. But I mean, if I guess it's for us to kind of keep pushing it. Like, and for those that really like are into it, they gotta look for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Got to find it. Yeah.
I mean, those are the originators of an amazing scene, an amazing sound. And what I used to really like about hardcore is the production or lack thereof, because it was like there was something real special about the fact that some of them could play really pretty good, but it was the sound, like the ringy fucking, like Earl's ringy snare drum and the Bad Brains, and how Dr. Knows how his solos, like when he kicked on, it just came out. It was like the loudest thing. It's all like, it was fucking awesome though, So every one of them had a special kind of a production value, if you will. And so when things get too polished, you lose that. Like that rough and ragged, because no one was we used to have a ghetto blaster on the floor of a practice studios we used to demo it, and it had like an internal mic. It's not, and if you found one you really liked, you put like a t-shirt over it and you put it in the right part of the room, and you could kind of hear everything, and it sort of sounded cool. I mean, that was production. Like that was, now you have Pro Tools. Fuck, we're so spoiled.
It's funny. We actually talk about this sometimes. The psyche behind that is weird, because if you hear an album that you love, obviously, and then you go see the band and they're like 10 times better live, it does something to your psyche that makes you want to go see that band every fucking time they come to town.
Yeah.
When it's like a polished album, and then you go and you're like, oh, they sound just like the album, maybe you don't go every time when they come into town.
Yeah. Or, there's something to be said for not being as polished on an album, because then you're like setting yourself up to be a much better live band, because you're like, but they sounded fucking great live.
Yeah.
Yep. That is also true.
Yeah. Keep expectations low.
But it was about the energy anyways. I mean, it was about going there and just man, just being your mind blown, and this crazy music, and just all these people just fucking going off. But like that all, picking each other up, stage diving, fucking, it was just a really great scene and community and all that. So
yeah,
it was fun.
Hell yeah. Do you remember the first show you ever played, whatever band that was?
Well, the first show I played.
And were you always a drummer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I played viola for a second, but that didn't go that far. I was in a hardcore band, punk rock band, when I was, 14, 15. And it was called Direct Defiance. And so defiant. We played a high school in San Mateo, and we actually took acid, which wasn't necessarily a great idea.
Yeah.
But we had horrible songs, and I mean, really, like, I'd be canceled in 2 seconds if I said some of the names of them.
Yeah.
But they were terrible, but they were pretty punk. And we had shit thrown at us, and fucking, it was horrible. I was literally cutting my high school to go play another high school. So, but yeah, that was fun. So that was probably like the first thing. And in like 87, I played with another band at the Mabuhay Gardens, and like Rock on Broadway and some other shows. And yeah, so those were some of the very earliest. Like, I wasn't even old enough to actually be in some of the clubs, and I was drinking. I mean, fucking 80s, you do whatever.
Different times.
No one gave a fuck.
Yeah. Shit, I remember even doing shit like that in the 90s still in places.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't until, sadly, everything that happened on 9/11, and that was a horrible fucking thing. But once that happened, a lot of things changed, throughout.
Yeah.
That is 100% accurate.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
They made video cameras everywhere being normal, which I still can't get used to.
Yeah.
That travel was like not a big deal, it was like, but man, it just sure became a much bigger deal. So, but
yeah, I mean, people like there are people that will never remember just like walking onto a plane or like walking to somebody's gate to pick them up when they get off the plane, and it's like that's so foreign to people now.
Oh my God. My first RKL tour, you could still smoke in planes. So we were we were flying to Europe fucking raging, like smoking and drinking. I mean, I was like earliest 20s. I thought this is fucking amazing. I'm partying in the air on my way to Europe. We're fucking just raging in the back of this fucking Air Canada flight. Free booze. They were giving us free booze. Fucking, I was like, wow. I had thought I had made it. I was like, I've made it. So yeah, that was, I mean, it's stupid. I know some people go, oh, that's dumb. And it is dumb. Fucking to like, because the world's a different place now. But
Right.
I'll tell you what, when you're 21 years old and you're on a plane on your way to Europe for the first time with a band and you're just partying and having a blast with your buddies, and it's like, that was insane.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking rad.
Was that your first tour with RKL, or did you tour? Were you ever in a band before that toured?
No, I nothing that like wasn't what it was the one that left in like the state, or actually the city. So yeah, that was my first big everything. Like that band, I actually left the state for the first time. I mean, on tour with RKL. Like one of my first shows was in Reno, Nevada. That was, and we slept in my van and then went into the casinos and washed up, and like that was wild too. But yeah, Europe was big. I'd never been out of the country in my life, and so there was just so much new shit happening. And I was like, then we got to Germany, got our stuff, walked out, and there was like, a place where you could get a beer. So we were sitting at the airport drinking Hefeweizens, at the airport. We hadn't even fucking got past the airport. We were still drinking. It was like amazing. This touring stuff's pretty cool.
Yep, bands just don't party on tour like they used to.
No, that's why I'm a sober guy now.
Yeah. It happens with older age.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to stay married.
Yeah.
So tell us about how you became a member of RKL initially.
Little Joe reached out to me in 91 or something like that, and they were called Slang at the time. So
right, because Bomber was singing, right? When you
Bomber, they were called Slang. So they came over to my place, and I played some songs with them, and then that was that. So we kept doing that. It wasn't really until we got reacted or on the Epitaph, and then Bomber kind of made a deal, and the name got changed to RKL, obviously because it would do well. And then he also, had Epitaph put out Rock and Roll Nightmare again, so it was sort of a deal that way. So then that didn't really go so well, as far as, because the music and the thing wasn't really supposed to be that, but that's what happened. And but that was a whole crazy story in itself, which, I mean, the time in RKL is pretty much from the time I started to the time I left was fucking craziness. Like, it was just, that was during the riots. Like, we went down to record Reactivate. We got on Epitaph, went down there. The riots had just happened. The Rodney King, the verdict came in. Fucking LA went just ballistic. And then we were sort of on our way down Santa Barbara. And then while we were in the middle, SF started taking off. We got down to Hollywood and like military on all the corners, and it was fucking insane. So, every day we drove from like where they were putting us up to the studio, and it was like just military, and we just drove straight to the place and then straight back. And at the end of the night, never got pulled over, and we were all in my van. And but I met Jason on that because he got arrested and then he got released from LA County. So I met Jason. He came over, and yeah, it was there was a lot of zaniness going on.
You said you met Jason at that time. He came back into the band because you guys were in Europe and needed a and Bomber split. Is that what happened? I think that's what Chris
Yeah,
said.
Bomber had a bit of a meltdown, and while we were in Italy, so okay, that in that tour, that was like 2.5 months in Europe. A lot of shit happened. Our roadie Will, longtime friend of these guys, he passed away in Switzerland. Just a lot of that was fucking horrible, and then just personal stuff with Bomber. He ended up having a bit of a meltdown and bailing, and then we ended up flying Jason out to pick back up again when we got to Barcelona. And then from there on, it basically that was pretty great, and everyone was stoked. So we were able to salvage that tour because we had like 3 weeks off in Barcelona, and we went out to Mallorca and played a show with Jason. Jason got to Europe basically. He walked on stage. He played the one Spanish show that we had at the time, and then we went and took like 3 weeks off, and we're hanging out with friends and squats and stuff like that, and went out and played Mallorca, and then we resumed the tour and did the rest of it, which was like Scandinavia, Germany, and some more places. So, and then from there, that was kind of like that lineup was kind of put back in, and then we ended up coming home and writing Riches and Rags and recording it and touring, and then going back to Europe. And so yeah, it was it was fucking insane. I mean, that band was insane, drugs, lots of drugs. sadly, I mean, Bomber and Jason aren't with us anymore, and nothing but, I mean, as crazy as everything was, nothing but love and respect for Bomber and Jason. Bomber is amazing. He was a fucking genius, and Jason was just one of the best frontmen in punk music.
We've talked about Bomber a bunch on here now, mostly because of all the other members of RKL who have been on here. But
yeah,
I said it before, I'll say it again. I wish I would have been able to grow up. I did play in bands, but in bands with somebody like him who would just continuously push you and strive to be great. With all the crazy things I've heard he's done, like, make people play in the dark and stuff like that. Like it sounds sometimes like a nightmare, but that's what it takes.
No, I'm grateful that I actually got to know, and I mean, I wouldn't be anything in this scene if it wasn't for Bomber. I mean, he literally taught me how to play his parts. He literally puts me off my drum set because he was just so aggro all the time. Like, and he had a lot going on. And when I was learning songs, he was like, no, it's like this. And he'd crank my snare drum up and show me the kick pattern and the parts in the RKL. Like, it's got to be like, it wasn't a mess. That shit was very much like put together. Like, Bomber was fucking gnarly as hell. Like, obviously playing, drumming, and then writing these fucking songs. I mean, he was wild. I mean, I'm grateful every day for the fact that I got to know him, and he was fucking, he could be a nightmare, but he was absolutely hilarious. Fucking hilarious. So, and Jason as well. I mean, I got to room with Jason when right after he showed up in Spain, and he and I kind of lived in a squat. And then we hung out and partied and just spent a lot of time together. So, I got to know all of that Jekyll and Hyde shit. It was the yin and the yang for sure. So,
yeah, it's funny you talk about the writing. Like we talked about this on the last episode. Like RKL is it's like controlled chaos. Like when you listen to RKL, there's so many people playing out of their fucking minds. that it almost hurts your head that it makes sense, but it does. And you're waiting for you guys to fall off the rails, and you never do, but you come so close, and it's just a
Oh
beautiful
no!
fucking thing.
Oh no! It happens. Oh no! You're right. It's a controlled chaos, and when it's on, it's on. It's crazy. Can't be touched. Can't be touched. I'm not. It's fucking. It is gnarly, but it's a fucking fine line for that tip, because when it comes off the rails, when someone's off, or the whole fucking thing just.
Yeah.
But we can play together even when things aren't like kind of all clicking. Yeah, it could be okay, but let me tell you, it fucking when it's off, it's fucking a shit show. It's such a spaghetti mess because there's so new. It's so noodly, and when things start to get off, or like especially guitars, but if drums start to get off, the whole thing's fucked. And so that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's like I have to be sober to even fucking attempt playing it. I used to play super fucked up. I don't even know how I did it. So I watched some video the other day. I'm like, I guess because I was 21, 22.
Yeah.
And I was just able to do shit. I couldn't do that now. That'd be fucked.
Yeah.
It's funny you would say the controlled chaos, because that's often how we describe, like, it's like, yeah, but when it's off, it's so fucking bad. It's like, it's hard. You think it's hard to listen to when it's good. Imagine when all that shit's just fucking fucked up and you're just like, oh my God, I can't, just gotta leave. It's like anxiety.
Yeah.
It's funny.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's yeah, I've been listening to Richest Rags for the past 2 weeks, like nonstop. It's just such a great album.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, it's funny because Matt and I have been RKL fans for a while, and we really started getting back into RKL probably about a year and a half ago or so, just like really. And then we had Joe on the podcast about a year and a half ago, and then all of a sudden, like a few months after that, we heard that you guys were getting back with Tony and playing some shows, and it was like we were just like we lost our fucking minds, like holy shit. So I actually did fly out, and I saw you guys at the Terragram Ballroom in LA. Because my brother lives out in Woodland Hills in the Valley. So I was there, and it was so cool. Do you guys have any plans on coming to the East Coast? I know we've asked everybody that, and
You have any
plans on coming out to the East Coast?
Nothing, not at the moment, but obviously at some point. Yeah. It's just really hard, scheduling. Tony's doing a lot of waste stuff.
Right. Yeah.
We've got stuff like Lagwagon stuff, so it's been tough to kind of schedule, but we're more making plans for next year because there's just stuff going through, and it's just too hard to try to. It's too late at this point.
Right.
There was some stuff we were gonna do, but then it just got chicken because it was like, yeah, let's just wait and do it proper, give it plenty of time, schedule it. So yeah, of course, at some point, but as of the moment, because we want to do a run, like we've had offers to do here, this and that, but it's not really feasible to go out and do one-offs. Like we kind of have to do a group of shows to make it worth, we could pay for it to do the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So, and we want to do it right, hit more than one spot, do a run proper.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure Europe is probably going to be probably the biggest thing for you guys to do. I mean, you guys were always huge in Europe.
Yeah, that's in the works for next year. So that was actually something we were talking about trying to do this year, but it didn't really work out. So and in a way it was kind of better because we did those shows to sort of reintroduce the band, and I think that was a good thing, because had we done too much before we actually did that, like people now know what to expect. Like before they're like, well, we don't really know what to expect. We've seen videos, but like, how is this actually going to go live? And LA was insane. Like San Francisco was great. Mm-hmm. Then fucking SB was really good. And then LA was just fucking stupid. Tony's drinking out of some prosthetic leg, and trash cans are going over the crowd. And it was literally like every day got gnarlier and gnarlier. So it was fucking fun.
Ron
Yeah.
actually ended up with that leg.
Yeah, I was right against the stage in front of Tony, and
shit.
he's all of a sudden the leg comes flying over my head from somebody in the crowd, and Tony picks it up and he chugs it, and then after like towards the end of the song, he hands me the leg, and so I'm just holding a leg, and I have it, so I just put it on the stage in front of me, and then I get like between like another song or two later, I get like a tap on my shoulder, and I turn around and some dude's like, "Hey man, can I get my leg back?" I was like, "Is this
It's not
yours?"
a, it's not it's not a party until you're drinking beer out of a prosthetic leg. That sort of sets the tone.
Yeah, so I asked him, I was like, "Is it yours?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm missing mine." So I was like, "All right, here you go."
we
Wow.
we
Yeah.
were actually curious about that because there's like medication that goes in those legs and shit like that. And
Oh, true.
yeah, and I think Barry told us that Tony said his mouth went numb after he did that.
Yeah, that was
Wow.
gnarly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't have to explain how gnarly the night was when you have a picture of the singer drinking out of a prosthetic leg. It's like, yeah, it was this gnarly.
Yeah.
I mean, words just don't get how that picture really tells you the story.
Yep.
Right.
Like, it went off.
Yeah.
It was very RKL.
Yeah, no, it was fuck, man. That run, it was so much fun. I mean, it's just fun again to play those songs. It was received. So many people were so stoked, and I saw a lot of old friends I hadn't seen in like 30 fucking years since the last time I played these songs. So, it was fucking fun, and I look forward to doing more of it.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to hopefully seeing it on the East Coast one day.
Hell yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
What are you currently spinning right now? If you were just to like get in your car and drive somewhere, what are you listening to these days?
Let's see. A lot of time I listen to First Wave on Sirius,
Okay.
or Ozzy's Boneyard.
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
honestly, I haven't. What have I actually listened to? Like where I mean, often I don't even put something particular on. I love 80s, and then occasionally I'll fucking dip down into Hair Nation if I want to get my Dokken fix or my Queensryche on.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
No, you're safe here. I love me some hair metal.
Fuck, dude, Queensryche.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Do you have if I was to ask you, like, what is your most memorable RKL show and your most memorable Lagwagon show? Does anything pop into your mind?
My most memorable. Well, I think the most memorable show for RKL was probably the first show I ever did with Jason, which was the one when he came, he showed up, he walked on stage in Spain, and we played together for the fucking first time. We'd never rehearsed, we'd never done shit. And he walked on stage and Spain had never RKL had never been to Spain. And so Spain was super fucking psyched because they were, Italy, Southern Europe loved RKL, and Germany too. But like Italians, fuck, they go crazy. And Spain, that show just went fucking off. Just was crazy. Super fun. So it really set the tone for everything we did after that. And then with Lagwagon, oh man, we've done a lot of fucking shows. I think when we played Roskilde in Denmark, I'd always wanted to play that festival. But and then although I guess maybe the first one I ever played was like a bizarre festival in Germany when I first got into Lagwagon. And it was a big ass festival. I'd never even played a festival before. So I didn't even. In fact, I quit RKL before we were supposed to play our first festival in Europe because shit was so out of hand and fucked up. And so when I got to do it with Lagwagon, I was like, fuck, it's like a sea of fucking people. And it was fantastic. We were out there. I was still brand new, and we were just promoting the Haas album, which was just doing really well. And in Germany, Europe, the band was doing really well. So all that was new to me. And we went out and played a festival, and I was just like, fuck. It was kind of like my next moment right after the smoking and drinking plane moment. I was like, woo, this is crazy. And then the festival, I was like, oh, this is even gnarlier than that. Life's good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that. I mean, but we played a lot of festivals and we've had a lot of fucking good times for sure.
When you started playing drums for Lagwagon, was RKL still going, or had you left RKL by then, or were they done by then? I don't remember the.
Barry and I actually left, so I think that was it for RKL at that time.
Okay,
Jason
gotcha.
was pretty messed up on drugs.
Yeah.
So that was basically, I think, it for RKL for a while until they brought it back out, but that was years later.
Okay.
So yeah, Barry and I had enough, and it was just insane. But we'd actually played shows together, like RKL and Lagwagon. Previous to all that, we'd actually done shows in Sacramento and Berkeley at Berkeley Square, and so different stuff. So we'd actually all crossed paths. We all knew each other, basically.
Yeah, because Joey Cape has connections to the early RKL.
Apparently, he was part of when they were all first getting together in '83 or something. But then bounced, and slowly Jason got in, and
supposedly Joey couldn't continue to be in RKL because he was grounded too much. That's what we were told.
Really? Is that what Chris said?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He said that was Joey's story, at least.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Joey lies a lot too. So. Who knows? Santa Barbara is so incestuous, though. Everybody was in a band at some point. Everyone was in the same band. There's the whole thing about Josh Brolin. Even Josh Brolin said he had, because him and Jason were buddies. They used to surf together.
Oh, so Josh and Jason were friends. So it's funny you bring that up because I know everybody in RKL gets sick and tired of answering that question. Like, was Josh Brolin really in RKL? So I didn't ask any other of the dudes, but since you brought it up, so you're telling me that he was friends with Jason. That's how that's
what I mean. That's what I would. This is before my time, but that's what I've been told. That's the connection. So I don't really know if Josh if he tried to sing in the band before Jason. I'm not really sure. It's sort of gray. I think Josh has even kind of brought it up, but then he won't back us now that we're back out. We're trying to get him to give us a little love, but won't break
some of that Goonies magic.
He needs to break us off some.
Yeah.
I think I had seen another podcast or something that Chris did where he talked about it, saying that Josh had jammed with them before they officially had called themselves RKL or something along those lines.
Yeah,
maybe. I haven't actually. I mean, I've heard it. It's always been a gray area.
Yeah.
It was the very earliest time, so probably I don't think there was an RKL at that point. I think they just had jammed as a group of people, but who knows?
Yeah.
Either way, cool story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice if Josh was a little bit more forthcoming with the love.
Yeah.
Way cooler story.
He talks about punk rock a lot in a lot of things he does.
Yeah.
He was he did Hot Ones, with the wings. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a YouTube channel where people eat these really fucking hot wings and they get interviewed while they're doing it.
No.
Yeah, it's actually it's weird to say this being a podcast host, but I don't really like interviews. I like conversations. And that is actually one of the best interviews things that I actually like watching. The guy who does it is really, really good at it. But Josh Brolin's one, he talked about growing up in the punk scene in the early 80s and shit. He talked a lot about it, actually.
Yeah.
It's interesting if you ever want to check it out.
I will for sure. I've seen some stuff or read some stuff where he's talked about being a part of punk scene. I mean, he could embrace us more. We wouldn't be mad at it.
And he should.
Yeah.
Come on, John. Come on. He'll hear this.
Yeah, he's totally listening. You got that, Josh?
Come on, John.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Trev from the Struggling Artist Podcast, and I want to talk to you real quick about Struggling Artist Record Club. The Struggling Artist Record Club is a vinyl record subscription service where I hunt and curate the best punk and punk adjacent music out there and mail their record to your door each and every month. Imagine finding your new favorite band from across the country without ever having to leave the house. It doesn't get much better than that. The excitement of discovering new music just got that much easier. As a member of the Struggling Artist Record Club, you are going to receive some of the best music you've ever heard from bands you may never even heard of. Whether you've been collecting records for years or just starting out, the Struggling Artist Record Club is designed specifically for you. And right now, all new members get a Struggling Artist Record Club exclusive along with the monthly selection. So head to strugglingartistrecordclub.com, pick a membership, and start building that collection today.
All right, I'm going to ask you these 4 questions that we ask everybody. The first question is, if you were on death row, what would your final meal be?
What would my final meal be?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm such a simpleton. Fuck. Probably either a fucking combo pizza or a combo pizza and an al pastor super burrito with chips and salsa. I don't know. It's
Hell yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of a lame-o that way. I mean, fuck, dude, there is no pizza I would not eat. Well, combo pizza. I don't want anchovies and shit, and I'm not eating no Hawaiian pizzas. I like the pizza with a ton of shit all over it, and then like fucking Mexican burritos, super burritos, because I lived in SF and the Mission, and I mean, super burritos are just the fucking jam.
Hell yeah.
Like any super burrito, or is that a spot?
Well, my spot used to be El Farolito, which is like there's one on 24th and Mission, and then I think there's one on, can't remember what the other. It's been so long, but there's a few of them. There's actually a few more now that since then. But yeah, but there's a few other places. Everyone has their favorite Mission spot. I mean, everyone's like, oh, fuck that place. I like this place. I like Farolito, and like Cancun had a good one, because I like places that don't put guacamole. They actually put pieces of avocado.
Oh yeah.
So they're not trying to fuck you around with that guacamole mix. I like just chunks of avocado in there. Oh, it's so good.
Nice.
And then like salsa verde or avocado salsa. That's what they had too, is this avocado salsa. It's so fucking good.
Nice.
Salsa verde is where it's at, and
that is where it's at. I'm not scared of other salsas, or obviously pico de gallo is always great to have, but like green salsa over red salsa every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Avocado salsa, which is a green salsa, and then that trumps that. Ooh, did I say that word? No. That'll negate everything else.
No, we edit, so it's okay.
No, like, oh man, like all the like hatch chilies like in New Mexico and stuff like that. I'm such a fan. I know it's like technically Tex-Mex or New Mexico style or whatever, but oh my god, I love it. All the hatch chili.
Oh yeah.
Second question: what is your favorite cereal?
My favorite cereal is granola.
Just straight granola.
Straight granola, like a mix of nuts and all that chunky granola jive. My uncle actually makes some like every year, and sends it in like the holiday season. So
sweet,
like the fucking best.
Hell yeah,
it's like so good. Big, and then I'll pour a bunch of fucking oat milk and put a bunch of fruit in there. And
hell yeah,
I put milk in there, but man, fucking me and milk don't really jive too well. So.
I could still do milk, but I know so many people who are turning lactose intolerant. I guess maybe it's an age thing, or is it
every single human being is lactose intolerant when it comes to like regular milk, like cow's milk that you buy. It just depends on what level of it.
Right. I think it's definitely gotten worse. Although that doesn't stop me from eating ice cream.
Gotta power through.
Piss out my ass for ice cream.
No one likes a quitter.
Not all the way.
Oh, now I'm contemplating ice cream and granola together.
Yeah. Oh,
that's gonna happen.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, putting that over there. Oh,
that's gonna happen. I can't believe I've never done that actually.
Oh, it's good. Today's the day.
Yep. Oh yeah.
See, this is why we asked this question. This seems super important. What's your favorite cereal?
Most important.
It is, but
Muy
it always
importante.
Yeah, that's right. but it always makes for good conversations. Always.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, food.
Yep.
Third question is they actually do this now. You could take if you pass away and get cremated, they could take your ashes and they could form it into a vinyl record of your choice. So if you were going to have your ashes, Dave Raun's ashes, eternalized in a vinyl record, which album would you pick? It has to be an album that exists.
Oh, like an album that's already been done.
Yeah, like you can't just make up some weird compilation of your favorite songs. It's got to be an album in existence. Yeah.
Fuck, that's tough, man.
Yeah.
And we edit, so you could take your time.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, man. It's like,
There's so many.
well, there are, and I mean, they all mean a lot, but at different times of my life.
Yeah.
So I would have to kind of go back to maybe some of the original, kind of like what AC/DC Highway to Hell, because that album kind of set a tone. Like I moved from liking Kiss, and then I bought that album, and obviously right after, I think I got it in like 79, and then right after that, Bon Scott passed away. It's not my fault. And then and then Back in Black came out. I mean, and that was an amazing album. And so obviously if my ashes were in either of those, it would be sort of a weird symbolism.
Yeah.
Me and them. So it connect me with Bond forever.
Hell yeah.
Bond. So yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's either that or Zeppelin, because Bonham has always been. I was a big fan of John Bonham before I drummed, and obviously, even though I may not necessarily play like him, I definitely relate the most with him because it just goes back the furthest.
Yeah.
And so it would be like, fucking Physical Graffiti or something,
Cool.
But I would have to go Highway to Hell, because that album, man, it kind of fucking blew my mind when I heard it as a kid. I was like, wow, this is fucking dirty shit right here. This is fucking awesome.
It's a great record. It's a great record.
All right. Final question is, who is on your Mount Rushmore of punk rock? You get 5 people because you get a crazy horse. So 5 people who you would consider on the Mount Rushmore of punk rock.
Or just whatever you consider punk to be, it doesn't necessarily have to be like so defined.
Wow. Well, I mean, people-wise, there's the bands, the obvious punk rock, like HR, all the people that started it all for me. Ian, HR, Black Flag, Circle Jerks. You could go Keith Morris or fucking Henry, Jason, and
Nice.
I don't know if it has to be a person or a band or
Person.
Yeah,
5 people.
If I was Bomber created RKL, and I loved that band before I was ever in it. And Bomber's, I think what he did was there's nothing really like that, and it certainly stands alone. So bands like the Bad Brains, HR definitely for the Bad Brains, because he's in the day. There was nothing like fucking HR. Jesus. Yeah. You see those like 80, 82, 83, like New York fucking dude, HR is like so fucking gnarly. No one would even want to come up on stage because he was so fucking badass. Yeah. The band's just ripping.
Yeah.
Obviously, I like Henry a lot with Black Flag because he was so fucking tense.
Yeah.
I know there's the argument of all the Keiths and the Henrys and the whatevers, but
right.
They're all good. I don't care what anybody says.
If I have to pick, I have to pick, right?
Yeah.
But what do I need one more, huh?
Yes, you got HR, you got Ian, Henry.
Jason, HR, Henry, Ian.
Oh, and Bomber. You said Bomber.
Oh.
So maybe that's 5.
Oh. Well, yeah, there you go. Bomber and Jason. Although Bomber, if I had to represent Bomber, he basically, fuck it, Bomber and Jason.
Okay, cool. Yeah, hell yeah.
there's more. Obviously, people be
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Oh
that's
yeah,
filthy. You're biased." Of course, it's biased, but it's not. It's not true.
that's right. And there's
That's it.
RKL influenced so many other bands that became
They
huge as
did,
well. So
and they don't, and they mostly because of themselves. It's kind of like.
mhm.
I don't think that the band has really ever been given the credit it deserves for
No.
what
No,
they've
not at all.
done. And like, I mean, no one, there's no one that plays that kind of music that I know of in hardcore.
Mhm.
Like, is technical and is gnarly.
No.
There's a lot of hardcore bands, but I just think, but RKL, because of all the problems and they basically kind of blew themselves up repeatedly. So
Yeah.
I think it got lost in the mix, and then they probably burned some bridges. I don't know, but
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, Fat Mike is the one person who consistently says how big of an influence RKL was on NoFX.
Going all the way back. I mean, he used to play one of those goofy basses like Little Joe, way back.
Because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole, the beat that basically Smelly perfected, like the portion of RKL, which is funny because that beat has never really been like the main part of RKL, but it was a thing that no one else was really doing. Like, it was usually the not and then Bomber was just insanely fast. I mean, I don't play nearly as fast, and the band didn't even want to try to do that because they're like, fuck, it was too fast. It was like, Bomber's word was, it's got to be liquefied. Like, it's not fast. It's got to be fucking liquefied. Like, so goddamn fast. It's just almost fucking a straight line again. Like, It's like, if you listen to like Live in Berlin or any old, I mean, it's stupid. But Bomber was, throwing in a lot of fucking fills. He wasn't necessarily landing, but it was so fast you can't even tell. It's just like
It's that controlled chaos.
I mean, it's the bar that I like to keep. Like, if because that was part of it, is like this insanely fast technical shit. As much stuff is getting packed in there, and they're going at like fucking Mach 8.
Yep.
So,
and he kind of like unofficially gets credit for the first person to like play that beat kind of on drums, kind of.
Smelly?
No, Bomber.
Oh, Bomber. No, Bomber took from a couple different places and sort of put that beat together, and then basically, like, NoFX and Smelly, I mean, Mike probably, they kind of picked up on it way back when. And Smelly's foot, I mean, is like a sample. I mean, he's no one plays it like that beat as well as Smelly does. It's
it's pretty
fucking
crazy.
Perfect. And
he's an amazing drummer. That is
built a lot around that, and then Mike basically built a whole thing around it. I mean, and then everyone else sort of came in behind it that was influenced by it.
Since you just brought it up before we go about kick pedals, share a little story with you. A band that I was in the late 90s, we had gone to see, it was in DC. I can't remember who else was playing, but it was while you were playing, so maybe it might have been the early 2000s, while you were playing with Good Riddance. And my buddy, who was the drummer in that band, played with like a double bass pedal, but he played like punk beat with the double bass pedal. And at the time, he thought that that's how pretty much everyone was doing it. And he saw you playing it with one foot and one pedal, and you completely blew his mind and changed his game for the rest of his life.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because he was so unbelievably blown away by you playing like just what you were doing at that show.
It's rad. I was playing with Good Riddance.
Yeah, it was when you were playing with Good Riddance. Yeah, because you played on that one EP of theirs, right?
Yeah, I played. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. And so you were touring with them right after that EP came out.
Yeah. That was those guys. That was super fun. Yeah, I was stoked to be able to sit in for a second, and but it's great that Sean's back. So there was a period for a good PR.
Yeah, since you brought up kick pedals, that jogged my mind of that story. And
yeah, I mean, I've played double pedals. I never cheated. I never used it I never used it to do that beat though. I used to use it for fills, like all kinds of other shit, but I never used it for like, to do the doubles
Yeah.
Yeah.
part. People started doing that, and it makes for a very solid, like it makes it way more consistent, than a single foot will ever be, unless you're smelly. But but it's kind of cheating to do that, because that wasn't ever how it was done. I mean, and that's I say cheating like I'm a fucking gatekeeper. Whatever, do whatever you want. I don't fucking care. But it's sort of the challenge is to try to do that beat and then go faster and faster and do it to, that was always the challenge. So, I mean, when we did the RKO stuff now, the Riches to Rags stuff, there's a double pedal. I was doing double kick shit, all kinds of crazy stuff. Not on that double beat, not on that part, but I was doing a lot of stuff. But when we were deciding to do this, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it all with single pedal. And I got to figure out some of the fills I did and some of the shit I did had some double stuff going on. And I'm like, fuck, how am I going to, I got to figure out how to do this. So I kind of figured it out. There's a few songs where, I'm like, I try to do something. It's not quite the same, but it's sort of a variation to get there, to get from what I did to what I try to do now. But what do you got to do?
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, awesome. Thanks again, and I'm flying out to LA again to see NoFX's final shows in October, so I will be seeing Lagwagon, and I'm stoked about that. So
see you there.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, thanks, Dave. It was awesome meeting you, and thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice to meet you, man.
Later, man. Take care.
Later.
How do I do this shit? I can still hear you. So what do I have to press? Close.